Hello friends. So today we are going to discuss about standard HTML helpers in MVC. Without wasting any time, let's start. Mm, So in this video, we will be discussing in detail about built-in HTML helpers. That is a standard, strongly and templated. These are the part of the built-in HTML helpers. In the previous video, I have already discussed about inline HTML helpers. So if you haven't watched that video, I will strongly recommend you to do so. First of all, that. Now let's start about discussing standard HTML helpers. These are the basically built-in HTML helpers, as you can see on the screen. HTML action at the rate HTML.action link at the rate HTML.textbox, checkbox, and drop-down list, and we do have many more. Right. And in this video, we would be learning about all the overridden methods of all these standard HTML helpers. Right. Let me show you a diagram. In this diagram, as you can see that all the standard HTML helpers which we are going to use in this tutorial, uh, these all are the C sharp method, right? So these all HTML helpers are treated as a C sharp method, and they are basically converted into pure HTML when they are rendering on the browser, right? And these are already created by the ASP.NET MVC. I'm talking about built-in HTML helpers, and these methods have multiple overrides so that we can use according to our need. So that we will be looking into it. And these are the some standard HTML helpers. You can see we can create action link, text box, drop down list, video button, hidden field, checkbox, and many more. We can do a lot of things with this. So let's go to the Visual Studio without wasting any time, and let's create a new project, and let's name it standard HTML helpers. Let's create, and I'm choosing templates empty one, and I'm going to add the references of MVC. So repeating the same step as we did in previous videos. So it's going to create a project for us, an MVC architecture. So let's wait a couple of seconds. Yes, now our MVC architecture, this has created our this standard HTML helper project. And now in this controller, I'm going to add a new controller. Let's say a home controller, controller empty one. And let's say I'm going to add a home controller. Right. So as we can see, we are having one action method. So let's create one more action method by the name about. Right. And now we are having these two action method inside the home controller. And now let's create a view for both of these action method. So first of all, let's create for the index action method, keeping the same name, view name index. I'm just removing the checkbox. Let's add it. We can see index view that has been created. Let's remove this and now go to the second action method and creating another view, adding view with the same name about, and now click on add button. Yes, so now our two views has been created for the both of the action method, right? And now in this div block, let's write to differentiate that I'm from about page, right? Let's go to the controller and go to our index view. This is our index view, And in this view, we will start working with the standard HTML helpers. So let's create one anchor tag for that, right? For creating anchor tag, we need to write at the rate HTML, right? And dot action link. And over here, we can see this action link method. It is containing 10 overridden methods. In first, it is accepting two parameter link text and the action name. And we do have a lot of parameters we can see, right? Yeah. So as of now, we have to simply add one link. So we will be writing the link text and then the action name. And on which action name we want to redirect it from index to the about us page, right? So we will be right. So on the link text, let's suppose click me, and on which action method we want to redirect it on this about index about action method, right? And this index action and this action method will automatically call this about view, right? So let's go and write the action name about. Now simply save this file and let's run it. Let's see. So first of all, it will build the application. If build got succeeded, then it will render in the browser. Yes, so we can see home controller and the index action method will be called by default, right? And on this index page, we have added one simple link, one action link we have added. So it is loading. Yeah, so we can see click me. So we have added this link, and in the bottom, if you can see here, I'm hovering mouse in the bottom, right? So when I'm hovering on this link, you can see it is showing it will navigate from index to about, right? So it will navigate to the home controller in and inside that controller about action method. So I'm clicking on click me. Yes, it is going to about page. I'm from about page, right? So that was a very simple thing how we can add a action link. And now let's suppose we have a such requirement that we want to navigate uh, from one controller to another controller, right? So let's stop the application and let's create one more controller. Sorry, I need to create one controller. Yeah. And let's give it a name student controller, right? And under this controller for this index action method, let's add one view. Now this view has been added for the student controller and the index action method. And under the step block, let's add some text to differentiate that I'm from student controller and index action method, right? Let's save this file. Now let's go to our home controller and to our main view, index view. So on this index view, we have created one action link, and now this time we want to navigate it from from this index to the to this controller, to this student controller, and under this controller, it will navigate to the this index action method view page, right? So for that, we need to write in this action link. As we can see, we have, as I told you, that we have overridden versions of this action link method. So if I scroll it on number 4, you can see it is expecting three parameters: length text, action name we have already given, and the third one it is expecting controller name. So if we want to navigate to another controller, so let's give the we want to navigate to student controller. So let's give the controller name of that. So student controller, and under student controller, to which action method? To this index action method. So let's go to the to the index view, and instead of this we have to write index view of the student action method of the student controller, right? Let's save this file and run it. Run the application. This is I'm showing you when there is a need, when we want to navigate from one controller action method view to another controller action method view page, right? So it is loading the application. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. So by default it will show the link. Yeah, we can see link, and as soon as I'm clicking on this link, now it will go to the student controller and the index action method, right? I am from student controller and index action method, right? So it's working fine. I'm clicking on this, it is going to the student controller, right? So this is a scenario when we can navigate from one index to from one view to another view, right? And when there is a need, when we have to navigate within the same controller, right? So in that case, we can pass only these two parameters. No need to pass the controller name. But when we are expecting for another, when we want to navigate to another controller, then we have to pass this third parameter also, controller name, right? And now let's suppose we do have a such requirement that we need to pass some values in the query string, right? So for that, what we will do, let's close this all these pages, and right, our home controller, go to the view page, right? And now we are having such requirement that we need to pass some query string values, some values in the query string in the URL, right? So for that, what we can do, let's remove this controller name, and now let's suppose we want to pass in this about action method, right? So we need to pass one parameter. Let's suppose we can name many things. Name. We can make it null, null level, right? We can assign null value by default, right? And on the index page, when clicking on this link, where it is going to the index, and in this we can pass our attribute, right? So this is the way how we can pass the attribute in action link, right? And in that we are passing name, let's suppose weapon, right? Now save this file, and within the same controller, so it will go to the index page, right? So let's run the application. It will load the that particular index page on the basis of home controller and the index section method, right? Yes, so we can see, and as soon as I'm hovering my mouse to this link, click me, you can see in the bottom over here, right? So you can see in the bottom in the query string it is passing name equal to weapon, right? So something I'm doing wrong. Just a second. Okay, I need to pass. I'm passing the index. We need to pass over here about action method name, right? Now let's save this and reload the page. Now you can see as soon as When I'm hovering my mouse on this link in the bottom, you can see it will go to the home controller and the about action, and in under that action it is passing the value, right? So let's click. Before clicking, go to our home controller and let's put a breakpoint here to see it's working fine or not. After clicking on this link, yes, we can see it is coming to the about action method, and in the name parameter it is showing this weapon whatever we have passed, right? Let's click it. I am from about page, right? So this is the way how we can pass some values in the query string, right, by using this query string parameter, right? So this was all about how we can add action link on our view, right? Now let's learn another standard HTML helper. So now we would be working with text box, right? So now let's add one text box. So I'm stopping the application, and over here let's create one more standard HTML helper dot. I'm going to create text box, right? And now it is expecting 7 overload parameters, right? So in first it is expecting the name of the text box. So let's suppose we can give it meaningful name, text box or whatever. Let's suppose this one, right? Now save this file and run our application. Now we will see on the index view whether our text box is being rendered on the browser or not, right? So let's see. Closing the previous instances of the browser, previous tab actually. So it is going to load index view. Yes, we can see. So along with this link, now we can see our text box, right? And when we let me show you the pure HTML. So after rendering these controls on the browser, so if we want to see the pure HTML, so you can see over here it is creating a pure HTML input ID name and the type text, right? It is creating a pure HTML, and for this link also we can see over here it is creating a href tag, which is your anchor tag, right? So which I already told you that on the view we are using our C sharp. These are our C sharp standard HTML helpers method. We can see it is acting as a method, but when it is going to render on the browser, it is it is totally converted into a pure HTML as I show you, as we can see over here. This is for text box and this is for anchor tag, right? And anything whatever we can type in our text box, right? So this was a simply text box. Let's close this. Now going to our main application. And now let's suppose we want to some pre-filled values in this text box, right? So in this Chrome browser, when it is going to enter in the browser, so in this text box we want some pre-filled values, right? So how we can do it? Under this text box, we are having this. We can use the another overridden parameters for this text box control, right? We can see it is expecting the value, right? So over here we can pass the value in the text box. Let's suppose I'm passing the value, for example, Prime Minister, right? And now when let's save the application and run our application. And now the when this page will load again in that text box, uh, whatever we have passed the value in that particular text box control, it will render in the browser. So let's see. Yes, so we can see Prime Minister. So whatever we have passed in our code, right? So this is how we can pass the value in our text box. And let's suppose we are having such a requirement that we need to pass. We have written some logic over here, right? Let's suppose over here we have written some logic, and from this logic we need to pass that particular value in this text box control. So This is also possible. Yes, this is also possible. We can do it. Let's suppose we have taken one parameter, and in this parameter we are passing some value. Let's suppose president this time, right? And now this name parameter we are going to pass over here, right? Now save this file. Okay, this one. So why it's giving? Okay, we need to pass the type of this parameter. So we need to tell. Let's suppose string, right? Right? And this parameter we need to pass over here, right? So let's save this page. Go to our. Let's load it again. And now in this text box, it will load president, whatever we have passed in that variable. Yes, we can see now it is showing. Now it is showing president, right? So this is the way how we can deal with our text box control, how we can show the text box value when the page is being rendered, and how we can deal with some other logics or some other way to show the text box value, right? And now let's suppose we want to assign ID for this control, right? Let me take you to the our Chrome browser. So when I'm let's open the developer tools, and when I'm hovering my mouse on this, you can see the HTML here, right? And so whatever name we have given over here for this control, txt name. So this is the basically name of your control. And let's suppose but the id is also same here. And now let's suppose we want to give a unique name, we want to give a custom id, you can say, according to our need. We want to assign a unique name, so we can also do that. So for that we need to pass one more parameter. For the passing any HTML attributes, we need to do like that in the new, and we can pass, let's suppose, the ID, and over ID we can pass, let's suppose, txt name 1 2, right? Let's save this file, go to the our page, let's reload our page, and let's see what HTML it is now going to create, right? Yes, so we can see over here. Now the ID is now txt name 12, whatever we have assigned to this over here, right? So this way also we can customize our id parameter. So we can give a meaningful name id, and this is our txt name, whatever we have assigned to this control, right? And now let's suppose if we want to add any class. So for that, what we can do, so for that, for adding class, for adding any css class in this application, so for that we need to pass over here, and we need to assign at the rate then class, right? And we can give any meaningful name. Let's suppose my custom class, right? Let's save this and let's reload our page. Now for this control, for this text box control, you can see here new class, a class will be added for this, right? So as you can see here, for this control, right, we can see a class has been added with the name my custom class, right? And let's suppose we want to add any style, right? So we can add style also here like this, and we can, let's suppose we need to define width, so we can define width also. Let's suppose 300 pixel, right? Let's save this and run our application, reloading the page again. So we can see width of this control that has been extended, right? You can see. And in this HTML, we can see this class and this style has been successfully added for this control, right? So these are the basically some few parameters how we can handle for this control. So first parameter is for passing the name. Then second, it will pass the value for that particular control. Over here, we are taking value from here, right? And the third parameter is for adding any HTML attributes like any CSS class or style, or we want to assign the ID for that particular control uniquely, right? So these are the basically ways how we can deal with text box control, right? And now let's talk about another standard HTML helpers. So let's now we are going to create a checkbox, right? So let's go to our control, and over here let's create our checkbox control. So let's add one break tag over here, and over here we can add HTML dot we are having checkbox, right? And checkbox it is expecting the name first parameter, so we can give the name chk, let's suppose chk profile, whatever, right? Let's save this and run our application. Let's create one more break tag over here also, yeah, to differentiate, right? Let's go to our UI. Let's reload the page. Now the checkbox control will also be added over here. So let's see. Yeah, so we can see this checkbox control has been added, right? And now let's suppose if we want that on the page load, when this page load, this checkbox should be automatically checked. So for that also we can pass the default value over here. So for that we have to see this other overridden parameters. We can see it is having six overridden parameters, right, for this method checkbox, right? So by default, we want to get it checked. So we can pass through. Let's reload the page. Now this checkbox will be automatically checked, right? So let's wait. So we can see this checkbox is now automatically checked, right? So similarly, we can do whatever we want to perform action on this control. And if we pass false, then it will be not checked on this page, right? When the page load, right? And similarly, we can pass another HTML attributes for this checkbox control as we did for this text box control by using the same by using the same parameter, and we can do any stuff whatever we want for this control, right? And now let's check for another control. Let's create another control. Let's create similarly we can create our drop down list, video button, hidden field depending on our need, right? Let me show you one more thing. Let's create one more control. This time I'm going to create one password field, right? So let's create at the rate HTML. This is the way how we can write our standard HTML helpers, that is built-in HTML helpers. And now I'm taking password, right? And we can pass the, it is also expecting, it is having four overridden method extension. You can see over here, right? First one, it is expecting the name only. So let's suppose we can write password. Let's save our page. Let's reload our page and see our password text box has been rendered on this page or not. So we can type our password, right? Yes, so we can see this, this password, right? And whatever we are typing in this password, it will be in the password mode, right? We can see over here, right? And if I show you the its HTML, so we can see this pure HTML has been rendered, right? Input ID and name, password type, password, right? Similarly all the controls has been rendered into the pure HTML. This is your anchor tag, text box control, checkbox, right? Let's go to our main application. So similarly, we can customize or we can modify according to our need what we want to pass in the control and how we can handle the control, right? And let me show you one more thing. In the slide, I was having this begin form and end form. So for that, what we can do, if many of you, if you are having a basic knowledge of C sharp, so while using this block using, and in this, if we are writing begin dot HTML form, right? Begin dot HTML form, HTML dot begin form, sorry, my mistake. HTML dot begin form, right? So for that, we don't need to write the closing tag of this HTML begin form. So we don't need to write this begin HTML dot end form, right? So because we are using this using block, and what does it basically do when we are working with the using block? It automatically dispose the this it automatically dispose our begin and form, right? So this is the way we can create our any form in our MVC application, and we don't need to take care for closing this and form, right? So this using block will automatically do this. So this was the basically a small introduction about your built-in HTML helpers. We can customize and modify the things according to our need, right? So that's it for this video. And the next video we will be discussing about the some more few things, right? So bye bye, take care.